Well, I got a couple of Crestone stories. I'm just going to the book's got a bunch of stuff from Crestone and kind of postcards from the end of the road. So I thought since we're in Crestone, we'd just have a couple of Crestone tales. Um, so, when you come into Crestone, something we like to feature to, all first-time visitors is the free box. The free box. It's where you can get stuff for free, all kinds of stuff. And so this is a little piece about the free box, which is a beloved institution in our little town, despite the fact that I think a year ago or so it had to go through a serious fumigation process, but it survived that, and it's back in operation. And so anyhow, this is about the free box. The free box is no longer just a box. Now it's a shed on the edge of town, roofed, rimmed with wind-worn Tibetan prayer flags, an old mattress leaning up against the front wall, spray-painted with the words, "No dumping." The contributions I bring include some lightly used fairy wings, still the rage in preschool fashions, and bench seat covers from AutoZone, which won't add to the clutter for long. But I worry about the mini John Deere tractor sprinkler taking up space since it's November, and a big winter front will soon bury the few lawns in town. Having put my unwanted stuff on display, I scan through pairs of shoes ready to step off their shelves, moccasins, Birkenstocks, 3-pin cross-country ski boots, clothes that mingle in overflowing plywood bins, tie-dyed Yes We Can t-shirts, an old raccoon hat, blue gym shorts, and shiny Denver Bronco warm-up pants. A few well-worn titles on the bookshelf, the Mars and Venus Diet and Exercise Solution, Winning Sweepstakes, A Proven Guide, Women Coming of Age by Jane Fonda, Odds and Ends in the Weekend Warrior, Handyman's Emporium, an unused tube of caulk, a jar full of 16-penny nails, a hammerhead, no handle, and a hacksaw, no blade. And in the toy box, an old slinky, a squirt gun, and a bald doll missing an eye. Just as I'm about to leave, a neo-Rastafarian couple with identical dreadlocks enters the shed for a quick browse, and the guy walks off with the John Deere tractor sprinkler. You never know. Then I notice an old travel trunk in a corner of the shed. The label on the lid reads, Community Memory Exchange. As soon as I open it, I am clouded in the smells of patchouli, burning sage, reefer smoke, the incense-filled memories belonging to my neighbors. In a quickly deepening delirium, I try to close the lid, but the feedback from a cranked-up Stratocaster and the roar of 100 Harleys blasts it open again. Next, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, and an orange-robed baldy with a free dinner invite. And now a drum circle at the 1973 gathering of the Rainbow Family in Nevada. And then someone tasting a strawberry with Werner Erhard at an S seminar in 1975. Whoa, enough. I slam the lid shut. No more memories for me, thanks. I can barely manage the ones I have. Thanks so much. Oh, there's so much to say about this little town, and it's a real gift for a writer to live in Crestone. There's no end to what you can say, or who you can write about. An abundance of characters. By the way, I just want to say the cover of this book is by a wonderful artist who lives here in Crestone, Beatrice Bergan, who's sitting right over here, and one of our great artists. And she's got a bunch of prints up at the sales table, at the merch table, as well as the book. So thanks so much, Beatrice. I really appreciate your offering for this little book. Well, let's see, where do we want to go? How about a little, this is called Letter from the Side of the Mountain. And I love this letter form. It's kind of, I guess I learned about it from a guy named Richard Hugo, who was a famous poet up in Montana. And he used to write these letters from small towns in Montana. And I just like the form. It's kind of fun to just try and write a little piece as a letter. So this is a letter from Crestone to a friend on the East Coast. Dear Matt, sorry I missed your wedding. The East Coast seems farther away than it used to. And I'm sorry I haven't met your honey. Now your little boy is 2, maybe 3, and soon you'll be driving him to school. When you were here, I was carrying Rosalie up the trail. She's 12 now, Caroline is 7, and we were still here on the side of the mountain. If it weren't for a stop sign and a slight rise in the grade, once we get down to the valley floor, I could almost roll the girls out to school in neutral. They humor me on our morning rides when I play them my classics. No, not Make 'Em Smart Mozart, but Jimi Hendrix, Electric Ladyland, 1968. Today, in the intro to Gypsy Eyes, Mitch Mitchell is laying down his bass drum top hat groove. Boom jazz, boom jazz, boom jazz, boom jazz. Jimmy slides down the neck of his Stratocaster as we lose altitude. It's almost 300 feet down to the flats. Sometimes that means moving out of cloud into clear, sometimes out of clear into cloud. Today, light rays bend through the layers of our upper winter inversion, and San Antonio Mountain appears to hover above the ground some 100 miles to the south. Out on the valley floor after we hit the county road straightaway, an elk herd morphs like mercury, one way and then another until a big cow takes the lead and turns them west. Then a raven swoops down in front of us and wings away with fresh roadkill. Meanwhile, Rosalie rides shotgun, covering Jimmy's riff on her air guitar, jigga jigga bing bing, chakalak, while Caroline covers the back beat in the back seat, boom jazz, boom jazz, boom jazz, boom jazz. We pass the wind-shagged Whole Earth flag and come to a stop in the charter school parking lot. Some other parents and kids glance over our way, and all of a sudden I feel very loud, jigga jigga bing bing, chakalak. I turn Jimmy down. We unload and hug, and the girls walk off with their Scooby-Doo lunchboxes toward the windswept double wides that serve as their classrooms here. As I pull out of the parking lot, Jimmy's still singing, I love you, gypsy eyes, I love you, gypsy eyes. And I'm wondering if my 2 little gypsies will end up as far away from their starting point as I did from mine. I hope that the gravity of this good place will rein in their someday orbits a little closer to home. But the truth is, Matt, I've given them the wandering gene. My people have been restless for a few generations now. We're rarely buried where we were born. Sometimes that's a good thing. Still, this time around, I hope that gene is recessive. Or maybe Grace's influence, her clan almost 70 years on the same piece of ground, will hold sway. Quien sabe? Anyhow, I hope you and your family are doing well on the eastern end of the road. So those same 2 little girls, we had a good friend up in Buena Vista who unfortunately died recently. His name was Curtis Emery. And Curtis raised burros and also got people involved in burro racing, which is a crazy sport that involves running a marathon with a burro. And so, you know, if you want to do something really crazy, I heartily recommend it. I asked him one time if he'd get me a burro for the burro race, and he said, well, if you got the legs, we'll get the ass. And so he gave me a burro, and I ended up finishing the race. That's about it. In fact, I finished the race last, and that was kind of a dramatic moment in and of itself, because all the people that had been at the different places out on the course, you know, taking care of people that were injured or just, you know, looking after people and whatnot, they all drove in behind me, so I came into Buena Vista with about 6, you know, police cars behind me, and about 2 hours after the previous and last burro racer. So it was kind of fun. But anyhow, this is a little piece when the girls were a little younger. We used to use the burros to take them up in the backcountry. And this is a little piece about that, if I can find it here. Yeah, this is called Barbies in the Backcountry. And so the way this came about was we had the burros all packed up and loaded, and we're heading into the South San Juans. And I saw that my youngest daughter had tied a Barbie onto the back of the panniers or day pack or something. And then I started thinking as the trip went on, I started wondering what the trip would look like from the Barbie's perspective. So that's kind of what this is. Well, not totally from the Barbie's perspective, but kind of considering the Barbies, you know. It's called Barbies in the Backcountry. The first time I noticed the Barbies, we were a mile in from the trailhead. I see them strapped to my youngest daughter's pack as if taken hostage. The Barbies could care less. The load we have carefully packed onto our four-legged porter, a burro named Sabina, is listing to the left and about to flop over. One of the Barbies looks at me, pouty, sassy. Oh, you're like so incompetent. As I try to shift the load back into place. When the Barbies make their next appearance, I am secretly happy they have been liberated from my daughter's pack, stripped naked, and set afloat in a very cold mountain stream. The Barbies ride the current, their long, slinky legs goose-bumping off creek bed cobbles, and their carefully coiffed hair trailing like algae behind them. Get me, like, out of here. Oh, how strange this must be for the Barbies, to be without their closets full of Barbie clothes, without their pink Corvettes and mini cell phones, hundreds of miles from the nearest mall, headed into a long night with a cold bivouac ahead of them. As if their creek immersion weren't enough, they are now perched in a remnant snowbank near our high-altitude camp, legs akimbo in exotic yoga positions. Hello, we're Barbies, not G.I. Joes. Poor Barbies. They are now huddled together in a large woolen mitten, having weathered the night dressed only in pink evening gowns. We didn't, sign up for this. And yet, they are smiling in the morning sun, as if maybe they are proud of their new survival skills. I am glad that my daughters set the terms when the Barbies come to play, and not the other way around. Just going to do a couple more here, and then we can all drink and eat and celebrate. Okay. Well, I guess because we're talking about drinking, eating, and celebrating, I'd like to share with you. This is an example of a found poem, which it's one of those odd occasions when you're just reading through something and you think, I don't have to change a thing. I just have to take this piece of text and it's really a poem waiting to happen. Maybe I'll just rearrange a few lines or, we had the chance to travel down in South America about, 8 years ago. And we used the guidebooks that everybody uses, Lonely Planet, and I don't know, there's some other ones, Rough Guide to Ecuador, something like that. Anyway, but they're helpful, they're useful, they get you to useful places. But I was looking at one of those books after the trip, and I was looking through the language section, and they had useful things to say in different situations, and they had a whole section of what to say if you were out on the town, in Ecuador or South America. And so I read through these and I thought, these people have a really, odd sense or maybe a realistic sense, you can decide, of what we're like, what we gringos are like when we go out on the town in South America. So this is exactly verbatim. I just rearranged a couple of lines, but this is what the guidebook said, and forgive my Spanish, it's not very good, but this is about gringos anyway, so that's all right. So this is called Gringo's Lingo for a Night on the Town. And this was found in Lonely Planet, Latin American Spanish Phrasebook and Dictionary, okay? You want something like this. Para mí, una copa de tequila. I'll have a tequila. Otra de la mismo. Same again, please. ¿Qué quieres tomar? What would you like? Es mi ronda, la próxima la pagas tú. It's my round. You can get the next one. Está pasando bien. This is hitting the spot. ¿Cuál es tu signo del horóscopo? What sign are you? Tienes una personalidad preciosa. You have a beautiful personality. Me siento fenomenal. I feel fantastic. Te quiero muchísimo. I really, really love you. ¿Dónde está el baño? Where is the toilet? Creo que he tomado demasiado. ¿Me puedes pedir un taxi? I think I've had one too many. Can you call me a taxi? That's how it goes. And finally, there's a little, you got to have a blurb on the back of your book that kind of explains what it is, and it's supposed to be kind of, it's supposed to be thinking about marketing and how you're going to connect with the people that are going to read your book. So this book says, heading home begins with Peter Anderson's Dharma bum passion for the road, which leads him through the mountains and high deserts of the American West, and eventually lands him in an eccentric end-of-the-road town full of mystics, misfits, and other mountain dwellers. You might recognize that place. But a friend of mine, a visiting friend, said, "What's a Dharma bum?" And so some of you may know that Dharma bums were Dharma bums, I think, followed up On the Road, one of Jack Kerouac's books. And, when I was growing up, or when I was in my early 20s and had come out west, Jack Kerouac and especially Dharma bums were, real influential books for me. So that's where that term comes from. But Dharma bums were basically, freewheeling, hitchhiking, mountain climbing, people just out for, adventure. And that's how a lot of us were, back 30, 40 years ago. And how a lot of people still are. But anyway, so I was thinking about Jack Kerouac, and I went back and I reread On the Road, which was a favorite book back in late teens, early 20s. And I was thinking about it from the perspective of a middle-aged guy, with kids. It's a little bit different, So this is letter to Jack Kerouac after rereading On the Road. Whither goest thou, America, in thy shiny car in the night? Jack Kerouac. Dear Jack, America's car is less shiny these days, and more like the bald, tired, rusting fendered Dodge I drive. Out on the night road for the holidays with 2 young daughters and my wife of 20 years, I've been thinking about you and how things have changed. What's your road, man? Holy Boy Road, Madman Road, Rainbow Road, Guppy Road, any road. It's an anywhere road for anybody anyhow, you once wrote. Well, for me, it's a dad's road now, Jack. You used to poke fun at middle-aged guys like me. They have worries, they're counting the miles, they're thinking about where to sleep tonight, how much money for gas, the weather. And I admit, I am thinking about all those things more than I used to. As we head north to Idaho for a visit with the northwestern contingent of my clan, what is that feeling when you're driving away from people and they recede on the plain till you see their specks dispersing, you asked us. It's the too huge world vaulting us, and it's goodbye, you said, but we lean forward to the next crazy venture beneath the skies. Well, for me, those crazy ventures are done. I will never again ride in a Volkswagen Bug with 2 other young guys on a highway in South Dakota and encounter the too good to be true roadside attraction of 4 hitchhiking girls from the Sioux Reservation, westbound for Hollywood. I will never again ride in that Bug with 6 other wayfarers and accompanying packs, one of which contains a big bag of hemp-quality wild reefer harvested on those same Great Plains. As you know, Jack, that's a young man's game. Tonight, we will roll west across the rooftop of America and beyond onto the Colorado Plateau, past the intricate red rock folds and fissures of the San Rafael Swell, across the formidable Wasatch Range, and into the Salt Lake City night where the angel Moroni is still shining atop the Mormon temple. Further north, onto the Snake River Plains of southern Idaho, where a mobile home all by itself, somewhere out in the vast lava lands on the cutoff between Minidoka and Shoshone, bravely shines its Christmas lights into the same great American night that you love to write about. But the road is different now. It doesn't go everywhere like it used to. Sometimes I envy my freewheeling friends for whom any destination is still possible. But for me, it's no longer true, as you once suggested, that nothing is behind me, everything is ahead of me, as is ever so on the road. Some time ago, I drove past the sign that says, "There's more in the rear view than I ever see through the windshield." Since then, I've chosen a partner and a home. And these days, I'm watching my two girls climbing rocks on the western flanks of the Sangre de Cristos. My travels are all round trips these days, Jack. I've given up anywhere for somewhere, which strikes me now as a fair trade. Thanks a lot, you guys.